Mike Smith getting all from West Coast as he clings to the lead from Gunnabara. IRAP is third on the inside. Cameron is fourth. It is West Coast, and he keeps on rolling. And West Coast goes wire to wire. It's the Travers.
Live from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Racecourse, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. Thoroughfan, giving the fan a voice. Find them at thoroughfan.com. And Woodbine Racetrack. Pick, bet, and cheer on world-class horse racing north of the border.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America. As yes, we kick off yet another week up here at Saratoga on what is currently a beautiful morning. We've said that a lot, and sometimes it's like the tropics. Then a storm blows in, and then it's beautiful again. It's hard to predict, but I think today and tomorrow from the forecast are supposed to be lovely days. So let's count on that. And again, right now, sitting out here in front of Clare Court, it is a lovely morning. Speaking of a lovely morning, we will be joined a little bit later by Joe Clancy from the Saratoga Special, a regular Wednesday visit. We'll talk some of the stakes action over the past weekend and the sales as well. Also a little bit later on, Gary Gallo, trainer here in New York-based guy. Going to talk some training with him, but also coming up on the weekend, the Lustgarten Foundation Day, which benefits pancreatic cancer research, and I know Gary was a good friend to Dominic Galuccio, and this is tied in his memory as well. So we'll hit on that with Gary Gallo later. And towards the end of the program, Justin Nicholson from EquestriCon will step in with us. EquestriCon, a little change up obviously this year, moving in to be associated with the Breeders' Cup in October. Last year they were here at Saratoga, but we'll catch up with Justin and get the rundown on EquestriCon 2018. But it's Wednesday morning. That means a visit from our friend Teresa Gennaro from the Brooklyn Backstretch blog, and much, much more to do the weekly calendar of the events that are coming up that you want to know about. Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy to have you on board, as always, to talk a little bit about the calendar of events. And again, usually towards the end, I ask you what else you've been doing recently, but I'll ask you right here at the beginning, because you not only, as I say, write for your own Brooklyn Backstretch blog, but if folks go there, you link out to all your other work. And I know you have been doing plenty of it, running around Sales Week the last few days.
Covered the sales for the Blood Horse, some online, some for a print magazine. We'll also be writing about the New York bred sale for New York Breeder. It was a great sale by all accounts. $1 million New York bred in the select sale, American Pharaoh colt purchased by Coolmore going to Bob Baffert, so that's interesting. There's after the Four-Star Dave the other day when Voodoo Song, who's become such a fan favorite up here, won, there was a man standing there and his eyes were kind of red, and I was like, you okay? And he said, I've got to admit it, I cried. And it's Linda Rice's assistant, and so it was his first grade one. He's married to Tiffany Webb, who's Jimmy Toner's former assistant, and they had a baby a couple of months ago. So it's really been quite a year for him, and I wrote about him in the Saratogian yesterday.
We've had Tiffany here.
Yeah.
She's the car mechanic slash assistant trainer and a lawyer,
an
right?
Intellectual property lawyer, yeah.
Yeah, we had a nice discussion with her last summer or the summer before.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting. Then she got up to set. She and Mick, our production guy, talked cars for like an hour afterwards.
Amazing.
That's fun. And I also saw, speaking of, because hopefully we'll get him on Friday, but Frank Vespi and the Racing Biz, you've had some stuff there. You've been doing some coverage at Saratoga for his website as well.
Yeah, really fun story about a filly who won a stake up here, or she's a mare actually, she's 5, early in the meet, named Ruby Notion, West Virginia bred. Great story. Her owners, breeders, simply adore her, and we're so excited. And also the winner of the Saratoga Special, Call Paul. It's a Pennsylvania bred, sired by a Maryland stallion. So that story will be up probably today or tomorrow.
Related, of course, because the Racing Biz covering racing in that Mid-Atlantic region. They do a great job, always tout the Racing Biz. But again, our friend Frank Vespi, who puts the Racing Biz together, going to be in town. So hopefully we'll get him over here maybe on Friday morning and talk a little bit about the Racing Biz and more. All right, again, let's jump in the calendar. We have one event here that if you're in town, you can make it. And and it's recommended because our friends at the New York Racetrack Chaplaincy, they do a great job. We had Humberto Chavez in here a couple of weeks ago talking about it, but they have, and we talked about this with him when he was in here, but their brunches this morning. It starts at 10:30. Again, if you're in town, you have time to make it.
Yeah, it's over at Saratoga National. It honors this year WinStars Lisa and Kenny Trout. Just a great way to support an organization that does so much for the people of the backstretch.
And again, another event that's this morning, but you have plenty of time. If you're up here or not, I mean, you have a better part of an hour to make this one right across the street at the National Museum of Racing. Our buddy Tom Amello will be doing an Ask the Handicapper.
And Tom is a great handicapper, used to appear on this network, I believe, used to be featured in local papers, now owns a bed and breakfast in Saratoga.
Yeah, right
and he
across
has
the street.
a great, unique way of approaching handicapping that makes it accessible. He has a whole kind of teaching, education method about handicapping.
As he was a former teacher.
As he was a former teacher, and he's funny and smart, and great idea to go over and check him out. And based on his advice, you might cash a few tickets.
Still puts together the Track Facts tip sheet, which his show on this network was named after, and he has that nice little booklet of looking at the tote board and making decisions based on that. So I'm sure Tom will be talking about all of that. Again, that's 11 to noon today, right across the street at the Racing Museum. Those are a couple today. Let's move to tomorrow. Always want to remind people, I go every week. I get my hot turkey sandwich, sit down and listen to the radio. The waitress said, before I knew your name, we used to call you Hot Turkey. I don't know whether that's good or not.
I don't know. I'm not going anywhere near that.
But I go down, have the hot turkey, and listen. Andy Sterling down at the Parting Glass on Thursdays with the radio show.
Yeah, he's got Richie Migliori, fan favorite, great guy, full of wonderful stories to tell about his career as a jockey. Thoroughgraphs, Jerry Brown, probably, I guess, going to talk about his method of coming up with those numbers on the sheets. And the president of New York Thoroughbreds Horsemen's Association, Joe Applebaum. Joe, horse owner, pin hooker, breeder, also the guy we talked to last year because he was a nose away on opening weekend of scooping the entire Pick Six pool.
Yeah, I remember talking
I'm sure he'd
to him
love
about
to talk about that.
And he won the BCBC, the Breeders' Cup Challenge a couple of years back.
Yep.
So he will certainly be very interesting to talk to. That's tomorrow night down at the Parting Glass, 8 o'clock. Highly recommended. Friday, let's shift our gear now and talk a little bit about some of the events on Friday. Our friends, I ran into Michael Blown in the clubhouse the other day. Unfortunately, he was leaving the next day. He was on with Andy last week, so if you went down, you heard Michael, but hopefully we'll get him on here because he's coming back into town. But their upstate New York division, Cabin Creek, old friends at Cabin Creek, rock and roll for retired racehorses, Friday night at Ninola.
Yeah, down on Route 9 in Malta. It's just south of Saratoga. $50 in advance, $60 at the door. You get a buffet and a cash bar to support the retired thoroughbreds who live at Cabin Creek. Some of our old friends like Be Bullish, commentator,
Zippy Chippy.
Zippy Chippy.
Don't forget Zippy Chippy.
And there's information either on the Old Friends website or at Brooklyn Backstretch about how to buy tickets.
I think Hot Turkey is probably better though than Lovable Loser. I don't know whether I'd want that. He is the lovable loser, but I don't know whether I'd want that moniker for me.
I'm staying away from that.
All right, let's move on to Saturday now. A little bit later, we're going to have Gary Gullo on, and I mentioned this earlier. We'll talk about Lustgarten Foundation Day, but that comes up on Saturday. And it's great that it benefits the charity, and you'll be asked for a donation, but it's a fun day for fans because there's a trainer autograph session that you can pop over and get a lot of great autographs on Saturday.
Yeah, and help research a disease that is far too elusive at this point.
Yeah.
And just a reminder that this Saturday there will be enhanced security in place. So there'll be metal detectors. Make sure you leave plenty of time to get in. Also, breakfast at the track will end at 9 o'clock, so a little earlier, and the backstretch tours will end at 8:30. So if you're planning on coming up on Saturday, just be aware that morning procedures will be a little different.
They've had the metal detectors last Saturday, I think, so keep that in mind on the big days.
Yep.
That may be a factor, and as you say, just leave a little extra time. I went bingo bango right through, but I was a little later, so earlier in the day when the flow is coming, you do want to leave yourself a little extra time, perhaps. Do also want to mention Friday and Saturday. We talked about a little bit. I had Chris Kay in Monday. Yesterday was the day off. It didn't seem like a day off.
It was not a day off.
But we talked about it then. If you haven't visited the stretch yet, Friday and Saturdays now, 6:30 to 7:30, you can swing by at the end of the day and kind of take a little tour and have a drink and maybe watch some racing and whatnot. So people should keep that in mind because it's a nice new addition to the top of the stretch grandstand area. Also want to mention Sunday. We talked about this a little bit last week. Sarah Yoga with a little the complimentary mimosa or Bloody Mary is probably what made, a little yoga, a little mimosa. Sounds like a good way to spend the morning.
Helps with flexibility.
In many ways.
Yes, indeed. And you can bring your own mat. You can rent one for $5. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. And it's 1 hour of yoga, brunch, and a complimentary mimosa or Bloody Mary.
Low roller contest, I talk about it quite a bit, and in fact, I was interviewed. We'll see if I end up getting quoted, but Saratogian's doing a little piece on the low roller contest and the popularity. It's really been popular this year, which means more money in the prize pool. But again, Sundays and Mondays, $40. The entry booth is on the bottom level of the carousel area. $40, $10 goes into the prize pool during the afternoon. You make 5 $2 win place and show bets. You keep whatever money you make with the money you bet, but if you're amongst the top 5, you get a piece of that nice prize pool. So it's fun. You have to think a little bit differently. As I say, I think it improves your handicapping because you do have to come at it from a little bit of a different angle. But that is every Sunday and Monday during the meet. Won't happen on the last Monday of meet, Labor Day, but every other Sunday and Monday. So I wanted to tout that. And if you didn't have enough of your mimosa or Bloody Mary at Sarah Yoga, I also want to mention on Sunday. Boozy brunch in the luxury suites.
That's what it says in the press release. A boozy brunch in the luxury suites at the first turn of the track. $75, 3-hour brunch buffet, and 3 alcoholic beverages and 1 much needed water. If you use up your 3 alcoholic beverages, then a cash bar will also be available. And again, you'll call the NYRA box office to get tickets to that.
Yeah, you'll also call 911.
Maybe
call
so.
Uber for a ride home.
Exactly.
Let me put it that way.
Exactly.
Also on Sunday, this is kind of fun, Summer Stroll, The Good Life, North Broadway, put on by the Saratoga Springs Preservation Foundation. If you're in town, certainly if you're a visitor in town, it's worth just maybe taking a drive up on North Broadway and looking at the houses and the architecture up there, but this will give you a little more of an in-depth look.
Yeah, I mean, some of those houses were built by the folks who helped establish the racetrack in the 19th century, and the architecture is really stunning and worth a look. And one of the houses is for sale. So if you have a couple of extra million lying around,
you and I want to chip in?
Have a look. Yeah.
Chip in. We'll rent it out in the summertime. We'll make it an income property.
I'm in.
Also coming up on Sunday, the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame. This sounds like a lot of fun. The Women in Racing Symposium.
And talk about an all-star lineup here. Hall of Famer Julie Krohn, Hall of Famer Janet Elliott, owner-breeder Charlotte Weber, Stella Thayer, who's a racetrack industry professional. Gabby Gaudet will be there, NYRA's own Gabby Gaudet, and the panel will be steeplechase jockey Blythe Miller Davis will be there, and it'll be moderated by the amazing Charles C. Canty. Julie Krohn will sign autographs afterward for $15. She'll be signing a poster that's based on a photograph of her aboard Colonial Fair winning the Belmont. Julie's the only woman who's won a Triple Crown race. It's $15 and includes the poster, and the proceeds benefit the museum. That's
coming up on Sunday over at the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame. Again, if you're not familiar, it's right across the street. Monday, again, the Low Roller Challenge, but do also want to tout the second weekday giveaway of the meet. Free giveaway coming up this Monday. It's a Saratoga blanket, and I think we have a shot. It's actually a pretty nice-looking item.
Yeah, it is, and I've seen it referred to as a sweatshirt blanket, and I don't really know what that means, but maybe it's made out of that kind of
fabric?
Cotton. Yeah, I don't know. So there's a shot of it. I'm sure it's the first time. They've given away blankets before, but never this design, so I imagine it's going to be a hot item.
Yeah, as I say, it's kind of
a
good-looking item.
Yeah.
That's a free giveaway on Monday. Let's move to Tuesday and a couple of items there. Another one of those tours of places in Saratoga that you see, but you might want to know a little bit more about. Right behind us, on the other side of Clare Court here, the Green Tree Stable. If you drive down Nelson Avenue, look on your left as you're driving out towards the Northway exit. a really kind of iconic here at Saratoga training facility, now owned by Godolphin. But Tuesday there will be a tour of that through the Racing Museum.
Yeah, and I think it's also on Sunday. I think they're doing it twice. I wrote a story about it a few years ago, and I said it's kind of like the Willy Wonka factory of Saratoga, where you look outside but you can't get inside, and you wonder what's going on. And it's really just stunningly beautiful.
Yeah.
So.
They have their own training facility back there. And
view of the mountains is great.
Yeah, and that's something too. I mean, as you look across, you think, man, look at the view.
Yeah.
And finally, another old friends at Cabin Creek benefit, the walk-in cocktail party that's coming up this coming Tuesday.
Yeah, really cool. Down at the Savory Pantry, right on Broadway. Don't have to buy a ticket. Don't have to RSVP. 5:30 to 8. There'll be a chef and bartender there. And anything that is purchased there that evening, a portion of the proceeds will go to benefit the thoroughbred retirees at Old Friends at Cabin Creek.
Very good. And as always, people can catch up with all of those events and more at Brooklyn Backstretch.
Indeed.
Teresa, as always, appreciate the visit. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Joe Clancy, Saratoga Special. A little bit later on, Gary Gullo, New York trainer. We'll talk about that and much more. And towards the end of the program, Justin Nicholson from Equestricon. They're down at the Breeders' Cup this year. We'll catch up about all the Equestricon news towards the end of the program. But again, up next, Joe Clancy. Stay tuned.
Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes.
You know, and make better decisions, better choices, to know how to connect the dots. In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool, but not the only tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. These too are important tools, and you'll find them all right here at Capital OTB. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
The backstretch workers are the heart and soul of what we do.
They're the backbone of the industry.
People on the racetrack are very giving people.
It's a very oppressive community of people helping one another. We see it all the time.
Any help we need it. It's right there in their hands.
It makes so much easier in the family to have somebody like Nathan to help them.
Looking for a fantastic meal? Stop by Malcolm's, a unique farm-to-table restaurant experience. Located at 617 Union Street in Schenectady, Malcolm's offers locally grown fresh foods, mouth-watering flavors, an enhanced drink menu, and terrific service. Malcolm's is a sure bet during Saratoga season. Make your reservation today.
Chain, living it up, living it up, living it up. Pin sagging gold grills, living, trilling the cut, trilling the cut.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on a Wednesday morning, kicking off another week live from Saratoga. Seth Merrow here, happy to be joined now by our friend Joe Clancy from the Saratoga Special. Joe, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very good. And you and I were talking before we went on the air, and let's touch a little bit on it. Obviously, last week we talked a little bit with Tom Law, and he filled us in on, a big week for you guys with the sales and Monday edition coming out, and over the weekend the New York bread sales. Just your perspective looking back at the week of the open sale and the New York bread sale. I think really both of them knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, I think both were really strong. I mean, looking at just on numbers, it was really strong, and then talking to people too. I mean, the people who bought horses and the people who tried to buy horses and said I can't compete where I used to compete. So that to me that's bodes really well. I mean, it means people are interested in it, and you see. I know there's always people at the high end of our game, but I think that the more it trickles down and the middle part of it gets stronger, that's good for everybody.
Yeah, and it's been fun to watch that New York bread sale become more popular. I mean, that Monday and Tuesday, there's a big crowd out in the backyard, but this year I went over Sunday night. I couldn't make it Saturday because I walked out to my car and got soaked, so I had to go home. But Sunday I made it over, and there's a nice crowd out in the backyard and great buzz even at that New York bread sale now.
Yeah, and it used to kind of be an afterthought or, the New York bread sale, and now you see people going there to buy horses and you see good horses come out of it. And
mind your biscuits.
Yeah, it's a strong place to buy yearlings, and again, that is only good for everybody.
You guys have great coverage as always, and it was also interesting before the sales. You guys do a nice thing. Here are some hip numbers to watch, so it's worth picking up Sales Week, the Saratoga Special. But it's always worth picking up the Saratoga Special. You can find it on track or around town or online as well at thisishorseracing.com. I also have a link over on Equidaily. But I wanted to pull up. I laughed. It was like 3 issues back. I'm reading through it, and the worth repeating quotes are always kind of entertaining and fun, and I enjoy those.
And off the wall.
But it was about 3 days ago, 3 issues ago, and I think we have the shot of it, and here it is. This is cheating. Come on.
Yeah, I know. There's
a quote from you that says, "Anybody, I need 2 worth repeatings, or the paper cannot go to press." And then one of your writers says, well, that's one. So bing, there's your 2 quotes.
We were desperate. That's probably the end of the Sales Week string. We do 10 papers in 11 days, whatever it is, and there was that much room to fit on the page. And I'm the guy who has to fill that, so you can either make the picture bigger or come up with something creative, and there it was. So,
I laughed. That was very
that's probably
good.
a C+, C-, maybe. I don't know.
I
but
laughed.
we got it done.
You got me. I laughed. I thought, okay, very good. Very good. And then I also was laughing with the go-between between Wilkins and Guillaume, too.
That was good.
Always entertaining.
We could probably do every day with one of those.
Those 2 guys are involved. It's always kind of funny. All right. Also, again, great coverage of the race meet from the Saratoga Special. So I wanted to get your take on some of the action over the weekend because there was nice stories there in some of the stakes races. First up, I want to go back and look at the 4-star Dave. We'll watch the stretch run here. It was over for me on the first turn when Voodoo Song opened up and Heart to Heart didn't go out with Voodoo Song. Subsequently, Yoshida did not offer much, running 5th in the field of 6. But, again, it was a good story with Voodoo Song getting it done. Again, validating that this is an absolute horse for a course for Linda Rice and Barry and Cheryl Schwartz. And it was also interesting, given now 5 for 5 on the racetrack and wins the 4-star Dave, the horse that won here 8 summers in a row. So I think Voodoo Song is building up a similar type of a fan base. But again, it looked here like Delta Prince might go by, but Voodoo Song just was really resilient, and another good story up here at Saratoga.
Yeah, they're the kind of horses you like to watch. They're the reason you come up here, and to see him dig in and fight. I mean, he's tired. You know in the stretch he's like, I've been doing this for a mile. I'm starting to run out of gas, but I'm going to stick my neck out and do the best I can. And they're the kind of horses you like to watch, that you cheer for. We've got access to all the photos that come in to trying to pick the cover and everything like that, and we ended up using one of them sort of jogging back afterwards, and I swear he's smiling. He's got this big grin on his face like, hey, I got him again, didn't I? And again, that's what you want for. You want these horses, you want to see them develop a fan base, a reason to follow them. Yes, they're fast and they're talented, but you hope that a little more develops, a little personality comes out of it, and you can see that horse dig in and try, which is fun, which anybody's got any connection to horses, or even any athlete, to see them dig in and fight and try, that's beautiful. That's a cool thing about horse racing.
Yeah, now 5 for 5 over the track, and it started out in the claiming ranks and now gets a grade 1. It's an incredible story, and as I say, to do it in the the 4-star Dave. I saw Sean wrote a cup of coffee column about the 4-star Dave. For folks who don't remember, a couple of days ago, over the weekend, I guess it was, Richard Migliori on the MSG Fox broadcast had a little feature on 4-star Dave. And 8 years in a row. You think of that. I mean, it's just mind-boggling
Yeah.
that a horse is racing for 8 years, but wins up here at Saratoga, and there's a bunch of stakes races in that record as well.
Yeah. No, and again, that's, I don't know. People talk, is it the magic of Saratoga? Is it the magic of the horse? I don't know. And back then it was a shorter meet, you know, so that you didn't have as many opportunities, and just a special horse. And then Voodoo Song is a great sort of, heir apparent to it. He's got a few more years to go, but he's piling up the wins anyway.
Yeah, no question about it. But 4-star day for Leo O'Brien, and Barry right behind us here. Clare Court, appropriately given the Sultan of Saratoga, he's been nicknamed. All right, also wanted to look at another stakes race. The two-year-old stakes races, just get some thoughts there. We'll look at the Adirondack first, because again, that was on Saturday. The Adirondack is number 6, Sue's Fortune, getting it done over Virginia Eloise. I kind of like Virginia Eloise, the Pletcher horse on top, although I had Sue's Fortune in the mix. But wanted to show this one. A, nice win for a nice 2-year-old filly, and might have a little future going forward, obviously, off of this. Jeremiah Engelhardt trainee. But B, another New York bred winning a stakes race at the meet. That's a big story at this meet as well.
Yeah, and it's about to be, we might have to just shelve that New York bred tag and say that these are good horses. They just happen to be born in New York, and to win, that's a homebred, and it's kind of cool to see a horse like that come up and beat, the supposedly bigger names, beat the Pletchers and Asmussens and those kind. You don't necessarily root for that, but you like to see horses come from different paths and different avenues come up and do well in graded stakes at Saratoga, and she's got a future. Very, very cool to see.
Yeah. Voodoo Song, also New York bred. She was a New York bred, diversifying Mind Your Biscuits last week. Just really an incredible, and the nice sale Saturday and Sunday, and the $1 million New York bred in the open sale too.
Yeah.
The New York bred program certainly couldn't have written a better script up here at Saratoga in 2018. Not a New York bred, however, a Pennsylvania bred. On Sunday wins the Saratoga Special. Mike Dubb among the owners. Jason Service trains, one down at Delaware in the career debut with a pretty good-looking buyer figure. Call Paul, the number 2 horse, wins the Saratoga Special as the favorite on Sunday. And you and Teresa were crossing paths as we changed during the commercial break, and you said you have some more info on Call Paul coming up in the Saratoga Special.
Yeah, cool story. In Pennsylvania bred by a Maryland sire, Frisian Fire, same thing, comes up to New York, comes up to Saratoga and wins a 2-year-old stake. And we've got a little more. There's some background with he sold at the Fizzy Tipton Mid-Atlantic sale, and there's some cool angles with the breeder. Beezy Patterson and Vicky Shoei are the co-breeders, and Beezy Patterson is Bitsy Patterson's mother, if you remember her from Orb days working for Shug.
Oh, okay.
And Tom Law's got a little bit. Brandon Valvo interviewed them here, and again, it means horses can come from anywhere, which is fun to see. And I live in Maryland. I'm right there in the midst of all that Mid-Atlantic stuff. So to see a good horse come out of there is a good thing. It's good for the game on all levels.
And I read you guys on the website all throughout the year, and I know you report from Fair Hill. How far are you from that?
From the training center? Yeah. I can almost throw a rock from my office and hit it. My office is right across the street. Fair Hill is this weird little country crossroads. It has the training center, the race course, a couple little old houses that have been converted to restaurants or office buildings, and so it's all right there. And I live another probably 3 miles the other direction, but great part of the world if you can get there.
Look out your window and see them training?
Not quite. It's sort of downhill, not quite. I can see them go by when they work out on the turf on the race course.
How many different training surfaces do they have there? It's at least 2, right?
Yeah, so the training center itself has a mile dirt track, and then inside is a Tapeta surface. It's 7 furlongs. And then they have access to the race course where the once-a-year steeplechase meet is across the road, and that's turf. It's a mile turf course. And then beyond that, there's access to all the fields and hills and things like that to train on. So you're likely to see horses almost anywhere over there, which is fun.
Certainly it's become very popular over the past 10 years or so. And if folks look in the PPs, and what FAI, I think, is the abbreviation, if you see horses training there, which you'll see almost on a daily basis up here, horses shipping in, because even New York, I think Shug has a barn down there now.
There's like 17 or 18 barns there, and this time of year there's probably 700 horses there. So there's plenty of coming. You see a lot of turf horses will train on the Tapeta there and come here. for stakes or for other races.
It's perfectly located for anything kind of on this northern part of the East Coast, so that makes sense too. Joe, as always, appreciate the visit. We will once again tout the Saratoga Special. You can pick it up at stands on the track, around town as well, or go to thisishorseracing.com and find it there. As I say, I also have a link over on Equidaily that goes to the archive of the past issues. And we should once again tout your man Shapazian, who is once again on the handicapping side of things. I won't say I'm doing great, but I feel like I'm okay as compared to the rest of the handicappers. But I think today I'm still like 12 behind them.
Yeah, we joked the other day, the other handicappers don't want to hear this, but I'm like, we could give Tom a couple days off and everybody catch up, or John a couple days off, everybody catch up, and then we'll have a race for the rest of the meet. But yeah, one of the best around. I don't keep track of what everybody else is doing, but I'm sure he's among the leaders again.
Yeah, I took a look over the weekend at the halfway point, and he's leading the pack at this point. So if you're looking for some handicapping advice, Mr. Shapazian as well. In the Saratoga Special on a daily basis. When you don't print on Mondays, you can still find the picks over at the website.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, today's are up on the website at thisishorseracing.com.
Joe Clancy from the Saratoga Special, thanks.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Gary Gullo will join us. We'll talk a little training. We'll talk about the Lustgarten Foundation Day coming up on Saturday, and much, much more. Stay tuned.
For 4 generations, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued the 96-year tradition of delighting their local following and faithful summer crowd with the finest authentic Italian recipes. Classic Italian dishes made with the freshest ingredients and served in a home-like setting where everyone is welcome. Some things have changed in the last 96 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Sign up today for Capital OTB's handicapping series and plan your trip to Las Vegas.
Visit Rivers Casino and Resort, the Capital Region's only destination for live table game action and the hottest new slots paying out millions. And they're off. Horse betting is now at Rivers Casino and Resort with Capital off-track betting terminals and live tellers located just off the gaming floor at Van Slyck's. Get in on all the action at Rivers Casino and Resort.
Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Welcome back to Racing Across America, live from Saratoga, right in front of Clare Court on a very nice morning here. Still a little humid. The humidity does not want to quit. But, again, nice morning. And happy to be joined now by a New York fixture, Gary Gullo. Good morning.
Good morning. Hi.
Thanks for stopping by. We'll talk a little bit about the day coming up on Saturday, because I know that's near and dear to you. But before we do some of that, I just wanted to talk some training and talk about some of the horses maybe. But before we do that, always interested when we get a trainer in here. How'd you get into the game? I know for you it was kind of a family thing.
It was. My dad was a trainer and kind of basically worked at the barn before we went to school. And that's all I kind of did. I did more than working and going to school. So.
And then what was the process for you to become a trainer? Were you assistant for folks, assistant for your father?
I started from the bottom up, walking horses, then grooming, assistant for a while. I trained a little bit, went back to my dad. So
talk a little bit about, because I know you're a claiming guy, and I know for folks like me who watch New York racing regularly, and that's most of our audience, they realize you're big in the claiming game, and one of your big stats is first off the claim. First, take us through the process of a claim. If you and your owner are sitting and looking at a horse, and here's one we like, take us through the process. What happens then for you to come up with that horse? What do you have to do?
Well, when the daily racing form comes out, we look at everything, and we look at the claimer races, and if we see a horse that looks interesting, we would have to go over to the paddock, look at them come in, see how they look, and make sure that they look sound, physically look good, and drop a slip. We put a claiming slip, and then at the after the race, what they do is in the racing office they have, like, if there's a shake, say 3 people go in for the horse, they would shake pills and then flip over and see who would get the horse. But that's basically it. But we basically look at all the claimer races and see which horse fits our program.
And what's the timing? You say, which makes sense, you go to the paddock and hey, we like this horse, you take a look to make sure the horse looks the way you want it to. What's the timing? When do you have to have that slip in to make the claim as compared to when the race goes off?
Yeah, you have 10 minutes to post. So you have to be in, if you like the horse, you have to be in the box 10 minutes to post.
And talk a little bit about the process after you claim it. They now, I know if folks watch out in the winner's circle area, when they come back, they'll put the tag on the horse that signifies it was a claim. So then what's the process to move it over into your barn?
So what we do is, after the race, they'll go back to the spit box, and then the transfer will be at the spit box. So once they're done, if the horse wins, they take their blood and make sure everything's okay. Then we take possession of the horse. So
it will be the current races people who take it to the spit box, and your people who then take it back.
Right.
And I know horses are kind of creatures of habit, but maybe it's a little bit different in the claiming game. Maybe that being creatures of habit, they're a little bit used to it. But how do they acclimate to the new home typically?
Some of them like it. Some of them, they need a little change. And it's nice to get a horse when you claim a horse, and kind of that's the thing that I like to do, is just try to figure out on where we can improve the horse at. Whether shoeing. My son's a blacksmith now, so he does a great job with it, and we try to correct things, and just their coat, just everything about it. It's a good challenge.
I was going to ask you about that. It seems like, for me, I love the game because of the handicapping puzzle. When I was a kid, I liked the brain teasers, and I liked the handicap, and they open the gate, and a minute later, you know whether you solve the puzzle. But for a claiming guy, it's a little more of a process. You bring the horse back to the barn, and that's the puzzle that you have to solve. How do we get the best out of this horse?
That's the thing, is try to hope that there's a little issues with the horse that you could correct, and maybe hopefully it works out, so.
And you also talked about shoeing, and so that brings up, I wanted to show one of your wins from earlier in the meet. We're going back a week and a half or so ago. It'll be the number 2 horse, Madame Barbarian, but it's kind of interesting. You read the chart here. Shoe repair. Shoe repaired in the paddock, according to the comments underneath. What's that process like when you get in the paddock and you have to make that kind of late change?
Yeah, that, especially for her. She's kind of a tough horse to shoe. And she kicked the wall in the holding barn, and the shoe, it came off. It just was halfway off, so we kind of pulled it off. And when we got to the paddock, the kid there did a great job putting the shoe on her. And thank God that the shoe stayed on and everything was good.
Nice win, regardless of the late equipment change there. But again, that's got to throw a little scare into it when you make a late change like that horses, in the paddock.
But, they just get pumped up and they're hard to shoe.
Yeah. Also want to talk about a couple coming up in the next couple of days. This afternoon in the 5th race, State Bred Maiden Special race, you have Big Brown Cat. Had maybe a little bit of trouble in the career debut. What are you expecting this afternoon from Big Brown Cat?
Well, I think she'll run well. I like the spot. I think there might be 2 horses in there that are okay, but I think she's going to run a good race.
Also makes a turf to dirt switch. What was the thinking there?
Well, I just thought, I tried her on the grass first time. I thought maybe, she looked like she would grass, but she really didn't handle it that well. So I like the dirt now, and I think she's going to run a good race. I don't think that there's much in the race, to be honest with you. I think that maybe 2 horses might be okay.
Also, I'm looking at the underneath, and I've asked all the trainers that have been here so far this meet. Training track as opposed to main track. How do you decide where you want to go? The main track or the Oklahoma? How do you decide where you're going to send the horses in the morning?
Well, I train most of them over on the main track. Okay. I'm stabled over here, so I train most of them here. But if the track is not that good, it's a little hard, then I would go over to the training track. That's usually a little bit softer. It depends on, there's horses that maybe soft tissue might be a little worse on the training track than here. So this track is nice. I have this track right here. Is great. I use this a lot.
What's for folks who aren't familiar? What's the difference between here? I mean, obviously they're not going to do a real timed workout. So what's the difference of sending them out to Clare Court?
Yeah, we'll just gallop them over here, and I asked Jimmy Jerkins, because his dad was always stable over here, and how far is this track? Because nobody really knows the right answer. And he told me that Robin Smith and his dad went around the track in a car, and they said it was a half-mile track.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, that's the only thing I know. But it's a good racetrack for us with feet problems and stuff like that.
Yeah, we see them out here in the morning all the time. They clearly seem to enjoy it. I also wanted to touch on tomorrow, the 9th race, another state-bred maiden special, 5.5 on the grass. You have Trumpet in here, first-time starter by Super Saver, and I looked up some of the siblings, a couple of nice stakes-winning siblings, Brigand and Sky Music. So there's some nice breeding here for Trumpet tomorrow. What are your thoughts in the career debut?
Well, I think that she might need a race. I think that with just taking a shot with the grass again. She's been working fairly, nothing boom boom, but so I just wanted to get a race into her and see, and then just move forward from after tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's another question I ask a lot of trainers. It seems like some horses are precocious, and you know it. They're like, oh, this is fast. You can fire first time out.
Right.
A lot of others, and talking to other trainers, there's a similar kind of a mentality. Let's get a race. And does some of them just benefit from that education, going out of the gate, and kind of, here's what the game's like, and then start 2, start 3, then you can really...
years ago we used to just most of the times give them a race. Just kind of like let them get educated, let them run, let them finish, let it get dirt in the face. Let's just kind of do things easy and make it better and better and better for them.
Sure.
Today it's a little different where a lot of guys want to try to win first time out. I'm okay with that, but I'd rather, I think certain type of horses, if you just kind of give them races, they'll just keep improving.
Yeah.
And I believe that with her also. I think she'll be better going longer. In the dirt, I think will probably be better. But I just thought, just to try to learn a little bit about her, because she's kind of fooling me a little bit. So.
Oh. How often does that happen?
I'm
Again,
hoping
you got to
she
solve the
fools me
puzzle.
and wins.
All right, let's move on, because Saturday, we talked about it a little bit earlier with Teresa when we talked about the calendar, but Saturday is Les Garten Foundation Day. There's going to be a nice event out by the Paddock Mutuals, a nice trainer autograph session, but it's in memory of Dominic Galuccio, who passed away from pancreatic cancer, and I know he was a good friend of yours, so I know this is an event that's dear to your heart.
It is. It's, it's for a great cause. This pancreatic cancer is, it's just a hard thing to diagnose, and Les Garten Foundation, they're trying to get where you could get early detection on, because when you find out you have it, it's
with Dominic, it was fast.
It was very quick with Dominic. It happened within 3.5 weeks.
Yeah.
He just had a little pain in his back, and before you know it, it was gone. But we all miss him dearly, and this is a great thing that everybody does. The trainers come out and people come donate, $5, and it's for a great cause. If everybody could come out, that would be great.
Yeah, it's Saturday, 11:30 to 12:30 near the Paddock Mutual Bay. There'll be a table, and if you want trainer autographs, this is a great spot to do it. There's a suggested donation, but again, it's for a great cause. I have a brother who's actually battling, and he was lucky enough to get diagnosed early just on a fluky kind of a thing. So,
Right.
you know, I'm certainly going to pop over and put my money in the can as well. And they're also, the Lustgarten Foundation all day will be at the community booth, so you can make donations there all day as well. But again, it's a great cause, and certainly fans who want those autographs, it's a great way to make a donation
it's
and come
a
up
great
with
thing. And it's purple. People wear a lot of purple and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's
it's
worth
a great
mentioning
thing.
too. It is the color that commemorates the foundation. So, and the picture we had of Dominic was him in the purple suit. I was actually doing a little research last night on you and Dominic as well, and I read a story that you had mentioned about him, where the first time he wound up at the track with one of those crazy coats, you said to him, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I think it was a purple coat, and the next day he shows up in a canary colored coat.
Right, yeah, it looked like a school bus. No, it was something. Yeah,
he was a
great guy,
again,
great guy.
great guy, and always a big smile on his face. Certainly missed around here, but Saturday in his memory, Lustgarten Foundation Day. Gary, appreciate the visit. We wish you good luck with the two horses coming up and the remainder of the meet.
Very good. Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me.
Gary Gullo, again, a fixture here in New York. A couple of horses over the next couple of days and beyond. We'll take a break. When we come back, Justin Nicholson from Equestricon. We'll get a little update on their 2018 plans right after this. Stay tuned.
Pick, bet, and cheer on live racing from Woodbine and Mohawk Park. Thoroughbred and harness action. The wagers are just the beginning. Watch award-winning broadcasts covering both breeds, incredible battles contested over the most unique grass course in North America. Experience the full fields with over 130 thoroughbred and 160 live harness days. Get access to free handicapping material and join the ranks of Woodbine and Mohawk Park players from all over the globe. For more information, visit woodbine.com.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
The backstretch workers are the heart and soul of what we do.
They're the backbone of the industry.
People on the racetrack are very giving people.
It's a very oppressive community of people helping one another. We see it all the time.
Any help we need it. It's right there in their hands.
It makes so much easier in the family to have somebody like Nathan to help them.
A day at the track isn't complete without a night at the Horseshoe. Great food, hot music, and cold drinks. So why go downtown when all the action's just across from the track? The Horseshoe Inn at the corner of Nelson and Gridley.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. As promised before the break, a little talk about Equestricon 2018, which has had a little shift to the Breeders' Cup this year after kicking off here in Saratoga last year. Dan Torchman, Katie Sharp, who's in the house in the green room, and sitting next to me, Justin Nicholson, the founders of EquestriCon. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Happy to have you. And you mentioned it when you came on, and I had seen a tweet last night. Significant day is related to EquestriCon 2017.
Yeah, it's pretty tough to believe it's been a year. It was, I guess today, a year ago, we were kind of wrapping up everything, but it was a long time coming. It had been a project for a year and a half coming into it, and we were thrilled to be able to put it on here in Saratoga.
We talked to you last year beforehand, and talked to you afterwards as well, and we've hit with Dan a couple of times this year, talking a little, in review and in preview, a couple of events we ran into Dan at. But I will ask you today, at being a year out, certainly right afterwards, I commented to you and Katie and Dan. I thought last year going in, it was a big question mark, and coming out, I thought you guys hit a home run. I went both days and went to some of the panels, and people were excited, and it really had a nice buzz for year one, but now we're a year away. What are your thoughts looking back now?
No, I mean, we're thrilled with how year one went. I mean, we're appreciative to the industry as a whole. I mean, everybody was very supportive. I think, the local community was very supportive. Really, we couldn't have asked for a lot more. And I think if you asked us right after the event ended, we would have expected we'd be right back here in year two, and we certainly had no complaints about any of it. We had the opportunity to kind of team up with Breeders' Cup this year, and I think that just became an opportunity we had to take, and so that kind of led us down the path toward Louisville for year two. But
yeah, and I've talked to you guys, and you say Saratoga is certainly on the calendar again in the future, but I can see the argument for Breeders' Cup in year two as you want to kind of grow the event and whatnot, because as opposed to Saratoga, the Breeders' Cup itself is kind of an event. So now you kind of jump onto what is already a couple of nice days, and you tag on to that, and so you're going to get the Breeders' Cup crowd who's already excited to attend that event, and you become an extra added value kind of portion of that.
Yeah, I think, the model in our heads was always, if you could be kind of the Super Bowl fan fest for racing, that would be fantastic. And obviously the Breeders' Cup is one of the closest things we have to the Super Bowl, maybe the closest. Obviously Derby has its own culture, but the Breeders' Cup brings the best horses in the world, and we think many of the best fans in the world. And so our goal is to put on an event that's worthy of that. And Breeders' Cup's been nice enough to partner with us to do hold their post draw at EquestriCon on Monday. So everybody, the connections will be in the building. We'll all be learning for the first time, where the big horses will be breaking, and that'll be a lot of fun to be part of that.
October 29th and 30th this year, down in Louisville, tied in with the Breeders' Cup. Just curious, obviously, again, year one, it was all brand new. What are the tweaks you have made going into year two?
Sure. The biggest thing is it's double the size in literal space. So we have, I think we had 20,000 square feet here in Saratoga. We have about 40,000 square feet this year. The venue is actually brand new. It was very nice of them to put together a $200 million renovation just for us. I thank them for that. But yeah, it's been a 2-year process making the Kentucky International Convention Center what it is today, and it looks fantastic. We got a chance to walk through it. It was just announced and just kind of shown off last week as it was unveiled. So that looks fantastic. I think we have double the exhibitors already signed up. We have about 80 exhibitors already on board. And programming, we have both a few of the conventional panels we had last year, but a lot fewer. We've added track talks, which are kind of like TED Talks, so people go up and speak for maybe 10 or 15 minutes about a story that touched them, and maybe with a little lesson for all of us. And then, we also have the autograph signings like we had last year. We're working with PDJF to bring as many folks in as we can to do that. There'll be donations given to them for the efforts, and I think we're checking all the boxes, and hopefully, and then some.
Yeah, as I say, last year I found it kind of a home run with the panels, and they were all interesting. And again, there was good feedback from the folks that I ran into. Folks can certainly visit the website as well, equestricon.com, and by doing that, they'll be able to find out what the panels are as those get finalized and get closer, but more importantly, buy tickets as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Ticket sales are certainly underway. We've been very happy with how everything's been rolling along. But we actually just launched a new kind of promotion for folks who are buying tickets right now. From here on out, I think every week we're doing a drawing from among ticket holders for a poster from last year's event signed by Jean Cruguet, Turcotte, and Steve Coffin, so the Triple Crown winning jockeys of the 70s. So we think it's a pretty neat thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, we encourage you to go onto EquestriaCon.com, and the sooner you buy your tickets, the more chances you have to win one of those.
And as I say, folks can go on and get the updates on the panels and whatnot as they firm up. When do you think you'll be?
So most of the program's all set. We're still kind of rolling out some extra things. I know we have some partnerships with, like among others, we did the NHC thing last year, so we had a qualifier only for EquestriaCon ticket holders. That's in the works right now, so I think we should have that up and running pretty soon. But yeah, no, if you go on there now, you'll see there is a ton of content already there to choose from. A lot of storytelling panels, a lot of these, like I said, the track talk, so it's very kind of, it feels more personal. It's less of a kind of industry feel and a little more of a personal storytelling feel. But then with all the the exhibitors and networking events and all that stuff going on, if you're interested in learning more about the industry side of things, we have representatives from all the big farms, from a lot of Kentucky big farms, and from organizations of all kinds. So I think you'll find what you want at EquestriaCon.
I love that idea. Track Talks. TED Talks goes racing.
Yes, you got it.
Again, visit the website, EquestriaCon.com, for more information to buy tickets and whatnot. Justin, before we let you go, though, I wanted to go back because it was Belmont Stakes weekend when I was talking to Dan down there about the nice win you guys had in the Penn Mile, and so I had the guys pull up the replay, and I just wanted you to talk because not only founder of EquestriaCon, but also an owner as well, and you own Hawkish along with Bob LaPenta, your AJ Suited Racing.
Yep.
Hawkish here is going to be the number 6 horse. The Penn Mile, as I understand, you had to drag Jimmy Toner kicking and screaming, as it was the option in New York. But you wind up winning a $500,000, the winner's share of a $500,000 purse. This is a nice run by Hawkish.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it was, and he's still about as green as the grass he's running on there. But yeah, it was. Jim is a traditional guy. He wants to win that. He wants to win the big race, the Belmont Derby, which I understood. We all wanted that. He wanted to do the mile and an eighth in New York, the Pennine Ridge, and then prep for this, which, again, very, very reasonable, and certainly might have given us a better chance. We didn't win the Belmont Derby, but to me, when you have a $500,000 race where you're going to go off, 7-5, it was awfully hard to pass up. And he's now undefeated, still at a mile. I think he's 3 for 3. We'd like to think we have the best 3-year-old miler in the country. Obviously, we stretched out to the mile and quarter, didn't quite work, but I think if we spot him properly, he'll be a good horse for a long time, and he's a gelding, which we love, so we get to race him as long as we can.
Yeah, he certainly was impressive there under Manny Franco, and again, Jimmy Toner trains. I love Jimmy Toner with turf horses.
Oh, yeah.
So you got the right guy there. I saw a picture on Twitter. He's up here now? Hawkish?
Yeah. Yes, he's here. He's actually due to have his first breeze back since the Derby this Friday, I think, so we'll start to pick out spots the next couple weeks, but he's good and getting back in form.
All right, sounds good. Wish you a lot of luck going forward with Hawkish, and certainly wish you, Katie and Dan, good luck with the October, the Breeders' Cup edition of EquestriaCon this year, and I'm sure it will be as successful as it was last year here in Saratoga, and we'll keep up with you guys and kind of check in occasionally as we get closer and closer.
Awesome. We appreciate it.
Justin Nicholson from EquestriaCon. Again, this year, if you're headed down to the Breeders' Cup, swing by and enjoy EquestriaCon. Go to EquestriaCon.com for more information. All right, I'm going to wrap things up for this edition of Racing Across America. Thanks to our friend Teresa Gennaro for the calendar of events, Joe Clancy from the Saratoga Special, Gary Gullo, who talked a little bit about the Lustgarten Foundation Day. Don't forget, that comes up on Saturday. Swing out and get the trainer autographs and make a little donation because it's a great cause. And again, Justin Nicholson from EquestriaCon. Tomorrow, back in at 9 o'clock with the handicapper support and 10 o'clock with Racing Across America. In the meantime, cash some tickets this afternoon. We'll see you right back here tomorrow morning.
You've been watching Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America has been brought to you by CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today. Pannell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. Thoroughfan, giving the fan a voice. Find them at thoroughfan.com. Woodbine Racetrack. Pick, bet, and cheer on world-class horse racing north of the border. And the new Capital OTB mobile app. Wager anytime, anywhere. Download it free from the iTunes Store or Google Play.